Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the International Racing League YouTube channel. It's time now for the F5 League to take centre stage. We are racing around the fourth round of the calendar here at the Circuit Zandvoort in the Netherlands. This is the first time, of course, the International Racing League will have hosted this track, with it being brand new to the game this year. And we should be in for a very exciting afternoon's racing ahead. Whether it'll match up to what we've just seen in real life, we'll have to wait and see. But we've got 15 drivers here tonight, all vying to get the coveted Dutch Grand Prix win, and all trying to chase down the current championship leader, who is Tim Bruce Dalins, who is 7 points in the lead at the moment, ahead of his Renault teammate Jared Fosbury. We've got Matt Romano a further 20 points behind him third, and then there's a big gaggle of cars behind that, the likes of Maurice Herpel, Tom Spicer, Reese Marsh, Thomas McIver, Nelson Santos, Ivan Brito and Craig Woolley, all in close company. So it should be very interesting to see how that develops here. But the Renault team are definitely going to take some stopping. In the constructors, well, they already have a commanding 66-point lead over nearest challengers Racing Point. So the constructors battle for the time being looks fairly comfortable for Renault. But around a track like here, you never know what can happen. So let's have a look then, see who is going to be the first person on a lap. It looks like we're going to find him right now. Right, indeed. So there we go. We're on board here with the AlphaTauri, just about to start their opening lap of the session. And we've already got Matt Romano, who has opted to retire from qualifying. This is something he does, I think, at pretty much every track, so not a massive surprise there. Of that there is no doubt. That is quite normal for him. So nothing to be worried about there. That's just what you would expect, really. In terms of the race strategy, I mean, the tyres last pretty well around here, but you would still reckon that the majority of drivers will go from soft to hard on a one-stop. A one-stop's quite easy to do around here. It's not too challenging, so I suspect most drivers will go for that strategy here today. So this is a pretty smooth lap, it has to be said, so far, and we're going to get a sort of benchmark here as to what we can expect in terms of the opening lap time. And it's a 1:09.6 is the opening benchmark. And well, we've already got second place from Tim Bruce Dalins. Who else have we got on a lap? Not at the moment. We're going to go with... Let's go with Nelson Santos, who is making his way around the opening sector of the lap. He's got a bit of traffic ahead who actually gets into the gravel to get out of his way. That's actually his teammate Ivan Brito, so getting well out of the way there. I'm not sure he needed to get that much off the circuit, but better to be safe than sorry. And now into his technical fiddly section of corners. The rhythm is important here. You want to get that spot on as Nelson Santos goes round the final couple of corners, and we'll see where this puts him. Nelson Santos goes into third place on a 1:10.9. So just seen there, Riley Manning's got put it up into second place for the time being. Let's actually follow Ivan Brito, who will now be on his lap. I don't know if his tyres will be in the best of states after what we did to him on the outlap, but we shall see. And it's a decent opening sector of a lap, so it looks like they managed to clean us up pretty nicely. Actually going to go on board here with the Mercedes driver. And looking pretty good there. Missed the apex a touch, so we'll run slightly wide on the exit. We have to wait slightly longer to get on the power. Jose Mendeville's currently on pole by 7/10 of a second, so that lap time's going to take some beating, you'd guess, but that's a decent lap there from Ivan Brito, and he goes into P2, also into the 1 minute 9s. So a very, very strong effort indeed there. And let's see what Reece Marsh can do further down the field. It's shown quite promising in a lot of the races so far. Clearly has a lot of pace. Just needs to translate it over the course of a race, and perhaps lacking that little bit of pace compared to the real front runners, aka the two Renaults, who we get to see put in a representative time. Just have a look at what Tim Bruce-Dalins actually did a lap on mediums. That might explain his current P6. We'd expect it to be a lot higher up come the end of the session. And here comes Reece then round the final corner onto the straight, and he goes into 5th place, just behind Billy Mossam at the moment. Look and see who else is on a lap at the moment. In fact, we've got Jared Fosbury who is on a lap, so we'll go on board with him. We go through these winding flat out corners into probably the most fun corner on the track, in my opinion at least. Actually didn't use all the track there, and I think may have lost a tenth or two in doing so. Turns it in nicely though here. Bit of a small lock up there, didn't have to correct too much, so don't think that I've lost him too much time. Jared, of course, P2 in the championship at the moment, just 7 points behind his teammate. He's had a pretty solid season so far, and he, of course, he actually got the race win last time out. He incorporated that after his 5-second time penalty was removed, putting him ahead of his teammate. And here it goes up to the line, and it's good enough for P3. Still 6/10 of drift though with the absolute outright pace, but it looked like there was a few more temps in there for him if he can just hook it up the lap perfectly. Let's have a quick rundown then with 9 minutes left of the session just to see who is looking good at the moment. So Jose Mendeville on pole position. We've got Ivan Brito in second. We've got Jared Fosbury up in third at the moment. Riley Manning is fourth. Billy Mossam is in fifth. We've got Reece Marsh who's in sixth rather. We've got Nelson Santos who is in seventh, who we're currently on board with, who's on a lap as we speak. And then we've got Tim Bruce-Dalins, Michael Edwards and Tyler Thomas completing the top 10. Is this going to be an improvement for Nelson Santos? It is indeed, just up to 5th. Only improves by 1/10 of a second, but it's good enough to improve him by 2 places. And Jose Mendeville invalidated his second lap, so he's coming back into the pits. Riley Manning not improving at the moment. So we're actually going to go on board at the moment then with Jeremy Pope, who is in the first sector at the moment. He's got Tim just in front of him, so hopefully won't get in his way. Tim is on an out lap, so he should get out of the way, and you can see the understeer he's picking up in the dirty air. This is not helping him. He does finally get out of the way, Tim, but you couldn't help feeling he maybe could have done it a corner sooner. Goes a bit wide there, Jeremy Pope does. He was 3/10 up in the first sector on what he'd done previously. How's he looking through the middle part of the lap? Again, still 3/10. Owen. He's looking like he hasn't done an awful lot of laps around this track, and to be fair, we have heard that from some drivers, that some drivers haven't done an awful lot around this track before, so this could all be brand new to them. Let's see, Jeremy Pope moves up to 11th and improves his time by a fair margin, but there's definitely more time in there the more laps he does, I feel. Riley Manning's gone up into 3rd place. And in fact, let's go on board then with Tim Bruce-Dalins as a McLaren just gets out of his way in time. That was Riley Manning, who just completed his lap. And we should expect a good improvement here from the Renault driver, the current championship leader, the man to beat. Will he still be the man to beat after this round? He's gone half a second quicker in the first sector alone. The added improvement of the soft tyres really working for him. And all drivers now look like they want to do a lap on the soft tyres. Those that did do a banker lap on mediums are switching over. Now his final sectors where he can gain more time. Based on his laps so far, he's looking maybe going into the first couple of rows of a grid. It just depends what his exit is here through this bank curve. Onto the pit straight. It's definitely going to be an improvement, that there's no question. And he's up to 3rd place, a 109.9 as predicted, onto the first couple of rows. As Jose Mendeville decides enough is enough, he's done his lap 109.6, and it's up to the others to beat him because he will not be running again. Have we got Tyler Thomas, who's on a much better lap, going through this last sequence of corners himself. As we've seen an improvement further up the field. I think that was Luke Baker, who moved up to what was 6th, now 7th, because Tyler Thomas has popped in a great lap to pop it on the front row, and in fact he's just actually gone past the stranded his teammate Luke Baker, who's found himself unfortunately in the wall just after turn 1. So a great effort there from Tyler Thomas to pop it just 1/10 of a second behind the current pole sitter Jose Mendeville. I mean, Jose Mendeville's qualifying pace has always been very, very strong. He always looks like the man to beat, as unfortunately there, as you saw, the Red Bull driver get that all wrong. That was Tom Spicer who invalidated there. And Jared Fosbury has improved to move up into 5th place, but Renault's not having it all their own way based off qualifying so far, as Michael Edwards goes 7th. And who have we got on a lap at the moment? I don't know if anybody will do a second flying lap on the tyres that they're on. No, so I think at the moment what we'll do is we'll go with Reece March, who is on his out lap, and he'll be the next one to start a flying lap, I would hazard a guess. As I mentioned before, I expect Reece to be quite competitive as always. I don't think that 110.8 is the absolute limit of what he can do. So I would just suspect we'll see an improvement here. He's only got 3 minutes and 40 seconds left, so there is a very good chance here that this will be his last lap of the session. Unless he's fancying 2 hot laps on these tyres, we shall see, but into turn 1 he goes. Very nice there. Looks very smooth indeed, which is the ultimate key, I think, to a good lap here. He's looking very comfortable at the moment. Going through these winding curves. It's a great track to drive. There's no question about it. Runs a bit wide there, and as a result, he's only a tenth up on his previous sector 1. I think he made a slight error through that corner there, which could cost him. Now onto the second of the 3 DRS straights. Probably the least effective of the 3. Or the 2 DRS straights rather, I should say. The other one down the pitch straight, which is a lot more effective. You can get plenty more moves done into turn 1. But here he goes then through the final corner. This could potentially be the limit of his qualifying efforts, so this is a crucial lap. He was 11th. What does he do? He goes up to 8th on a 1:10.4. So he has improved a few positions, but he may struggle to stay in the top 10 depending what other drivers do around him. And this is one of them, in fact, Nelson Santos, who is currently down in 10th place but is improving by quite a significant margin through the first couple of sectors. Let's have a look at what he can do around the final corner. This is definitely going to move him up somewhat. It moves him up into 7th place on a 1:10.1. It's all getting very tightly congested in that area of the track. Oh, unfortunately, Billy Mossam has invalidated his lap, so he will not be improving. Let's go on board with... Well, it's not going on board with Tim Grisdalins because he's actually not improving at the moment. But Ivan Brito certainly is, and this could potentially challenge pole position. He takes the shortest route to the line. Ivan Brito goes up to 2nd. It's not quite enough for pole position, but it's good enough for the front row. What's Tyler Thomas doing through the middle part of the lap? He's got some traffic ahead. He's marginally up, but that Red Bull, I mean, to be fair, you know, Tom Spicer is on a lap himself, and in fact, Tyler Thomas has hit the wall, so maybe just poorly executed there as to where he wanted to go out on the track, and ultimately that has cost him. Good evening, everybody. I just opened the stream up, so thank you for the comments there. Oh, and Tyler Thomas just decides to wreck his front wing on the way into the pit lane for reasons I'm not overly sure of. Right, so we've got Riley Manning wanting to improve on his current 6th place, and does so up to 4th. Well, Tim Bruce-Dalins is struggling here. He doesn't like he's going to improve again, so the best Tim is going to qualify, the championship leader, is P5 by the looks of it, and his teammate could even drop him down another position if he's not careful. There's a Williams there that came out of nowhere. I'm not sure what that's all about. But here we go, round the final corner then for Jared Fosbury. Is he going to drop Tim down a position? He heads for the line. He does indeed. He's up to 4th, but still not enough to get near the front of the grid. Michael Edwards as well is improving. The Renaults have not had the qualifying session they would hope for here. They look like they're struggling, and Michael Edwards in fact has invalidated, so he will not improve. Is anybody else out there on a lap? I don't think so. Well, I don't know actually. What's Luke Baker doing? He's on a lap, so we'll stay with Luke Baker, because I think he's the only one now who can improve. Currently in 10th place, so he will be starting on the tyres he qualifies on, so you can try and hope that he can improve a few positions at least. What's he doing through the middle part of the lap? Yes, he's improving by almost 4/10 of a second, so that's a very, very nice first sector there, or middle sector rather. And this could be enough to see him go somewhere near his teammate in the top 10 if he's really hooked up this final part of the lap. Here we go, up to the line for Luke. What's it good enough for? It's good enough for only up to 9th. So it did improve by a good amount of time, but only enough to move him up just to 1 place. But that is your qualifying. It's Jose Mendeville who takes pole position ahead of Ivan Brito. Tyler Thomas in 3rd, Jared Fosbury in 4th, Riley Manning in 5th, Tim Bruce-Dalins in 6th, Nelson Santos is in 7th, Michael Edwards 8th, Luke Baker in 9th, and Reese March in 10th place, with Billy Mossam, Tom Spicer, Jeremy Pope, Matt Romano, Craig Woolley outside the top 10. And if you just let me check quickly, I'll find out who just joined. I don't actually know who that is who's just joined, I'm afraid, so if anyone can let me know in the stream chat. I don't know if it's someone who's meant to have joined, but it's not a name I have down. I don't know if it's someone who's changed their PSN. It's very, very possible, of course. Yeah, that is your grid for the Dutch Grand Prix, and of course, as we know, track position is absolutely crucial here. You want to be in a good position on the grid if you're going to maximise the result you can get. Overtaking is not the easiest round here. But Jose's pace isn't a surprise. There is a few surprises. Ivan Brito and Tyler Thomas, perhaps not the drivers you'd expect to see in the top three. I think we would have expected better from the two Renaults. I'm impressed by Riley Manning as well, up there in 5th, so there's some good performances out there. And that brings an end to our qualifying session. Looking like we've got a very interesting race ahead of us, for sure. Of course, in the first 3 races, we have had 3 different winners. We had Tim Bruce Dalins, who won the opening round, with Matt Romano taking a shock win in Monza before Jared Fosbury won last time out. So we've had 3 different winners despite the Renault dominance, and could it about to be a 4th different winner in 4 races? Let's find out. Don't be too surprised if you see those outside the top 10 plump for the medium or even hard tyre. I think that's a distinct possibility. It looks a lot more overcast though in the race, so I wonder if we do have any unpredictable weather happening later on. Alright, so all the drivers are ready. Here we go then, on the grid. Let's have a look as to what those outside the top 10 have gone for in terms of tyre compounds, and it's a little bit of mixed actually. Billy Mossam has gone for the soft tyre, Tom Spicer gone for the hards, and we got Jeremy Pope, Matt Romano and Craig Woolley all on mediums, and then we've got Sir Hamrick at the back on soft tyres. So a good mix there. I'm a little bit surprised that a few have gone for the soft tyre outside the top 10. It's not. I personally would have tried a bit of a different strategy. You never know with safety cars. Here we've had quite a few safety cars so far in the F5 season, so it's not beyond the realms of possibility, that's for sure. In terms of what we've got coming up as well, obviously we're at Zandvoort this week. Next week we actually head to the Red Bull Ring in Austria, a very different kind of track to this one, and a track that should throw up a lot of action, as I'm sure this one will too. A lot of drivers might still be finding their way around this brand new circuit to the calendar, and we'll see what the next 36 laps has in store for us. As Ivan Brito Ghost inside Jose Mendeville's car. I'm not sure what's happening here, but interesting formation lap to say the least. Alright, and the final car lining up on the grid, and that means we are all set here for 36 laps of the circuit Zandvoort. Who is going to come out on top here? So the lights are illuminating, and when they go out, let battle commence here in the Netherlands. It looks like an excellent start from Ivan Brito. It looks like he's actually got the jump on Jose Mendeville as down the inside Tyler Thomas looks, and that is indeed the race lead for Ivan Brito. Jose Mendeville slots into second, and we've got Tyler Thomas still in third. As I think that's Jared Fosbury looking down the inside. We've got some carnage happening further down the field. I'm not sure what's happened there, but it's pretty much as you were, mostly at the front. But that is the lead, and we've got a safety car out. We have a safety car out, so someone's had a fairly big off. I'm not sure who that was actually. Trying to find a car that doesn't have a front wing, because I'm guessing that's what we're going to find somewhere. But is it Craig Woolley? No, I'm not entirely sure as to who the reason for the safety car coming out. Oh wait a minute, might have actually. There we go. Right, so unfortunately it's Jeremy Pope who is minus a front wing, so he will have to come into the pits, and that's a massive blow. And actually, interestingly, it's not what I thought. It's not, the Renaults are not the way around I thought they were. So actually, Tim Brusdalens has got an excellent start up to 4th, and Jared Fosbury's dropped back into 6th place. As Jose Mendeville threatens, I think, to go into pit lane, but doesn't. And Jared Fosbury pits. Has Jared Fosbury picked up damage, I wonder? He has. So that might explain some of the reason as to why Jared fell back. But Jared has had to come into the pits for damage. Goes onto the medium tyre, and that is a really big blow. Safety car in a way has actually kind of helped him in that regard, but he will still drop near to the back of the pack, at the exception of Jeremy. And he will have a more difficult race ahead of him now for sure. He's going to have some cars ahead of him, but he's definitely quicker than, and he'll have to try and make his way back through the pack as quickly as possible. Let's go back to the front now. Ivan Brito is your current race leader. He got the jump on Jose Mendeville after he got pole position. In terms of the starts, I mean, I think Billy Mossom's had a very good start. He's up to 8th from 11th. But that's the really big mover is Jared, unfortunately, getting that damage. And he has dropped way to the back, and like I said, that could be a pivotal moment in the title race. It could not. We could yet see another safety car later on. There's no ruling that out, that's for sure. The two that did have to pit because of damage have both gone on to mediums. They'll be anticipating to make one more stop if there is no more safety cars. Who knows if there is. As they all try and keep temperature up in their tyres, exception of Jose, who's just quite happy to sit behind and not warm up his tyres. That could potentially come back to bite him when we get restarted, of course. Ivan Brito hasn't had the most ideal of seasons so far, but he's in the best, he's in the pound seat at the moment. I think the way to describe his season so far would be messy. Quite interested to... I don't think it's raining. I thought for a split second there like it was raining. I don't think it is though. I mean, if it was due to rain, that wouldn't really explain as to why drivers have gone on mediums. But who knows? Like I say, it does look very, very overcast. And you expect the safety car will be in at the end of this lap. It is indeed. Just got confirmation there. So we'll be back up to racing speeds very, very shortly. And Ivan Brito now, he becomes the effective safety car. It is up to him as to when he wants to bolt us. Unfortunately, Michael Edwards has picked up a penalty for a collision. Ivan Brito as well. I think he's tried to go, but he's not really let the safety car get far enough ahead yet. That's gone a bit wrong, I'm not going to lie. He pulled that way too early, and in fact, because of that, in fact, Tim has actually pitted. And Tom Spicer is out the race. Tom Spicer is out the race. I don't know what's happened to him as we go side by side through turn 1. Jose Mendeville trying to get past. And in fact, yeah, Tim has gone on to it. Yeah, it definitely is raining now. There is no doubt about it. We have got rain now. And Tim has in fact gone straight onto Winters, which I think is incredibly early. I don't think that was a good decision, if I'm honest. But we'll have to remain to be seen. But Ivan Brito leads, and we've actually got a yellow flag in sector 1. Is it Michael Edwards who is in trouble? It is indeed. He's lost all of his front wing, and he's dropping down the order. So there's been contact with another driver, I suspect. And Michael Edwards is dropping down the order. And in fact, we've got a change for the lead, I believe. Owen! What on earth's gone off ahead? Owen! There's a spin for Jose Mendeville. Contact, I think, with one of McLaren's, and we got McLaren into the wall as well. Riley Manning's off. All the drivers are desperately struggling to keep the car in the road. And it's absolute manic here. Got yellow flags absolutely everywhere you look, and look at the way they're losing it. Ivan Brito's now gone as well. This is incredible. So maybe the track was ready for Inters, and Tim has called this absolutely brilliantly. I suppose never doubt a championship leader, but they're all absolutely scrambling for grip. Look at them all. They can't get the power down. Everyone's in the pits. And in fact, some people are going to have to be careful not to speed in the pit lane, but they're all coming in for Inters because the grip has absolutely vanished. And look at Tim here. He's got a massive lead. Everyone's in for Inters. It definitely was the right decision from Tim, as it turns out. It didn't look like it at first, but Tim has actually now got a 4-second lead over Reese. So out of nowhere, Tim has got a comfortable lead. That was incredible how quickly the track got damp. And in the end, all the drivers were struggling to keep it on the road. So now let's have a look then at the order. As the drivers are back out on the circuits, we've got Tim is in the lead, Tim Bruce Dalins. We've got Reese March in second, Nelson Santos is in third, Luke Baker's fourth, Sir Hamrick is in fifth, Craig Woolley sixth, Jared Fosbury seventh, Billy Mossam, Riley Manning and Jose Mendeville rounds out the top 10. Jose, who was leading, has dropped down. Ivan Brito has dropped down to 13th after he was in the lead as well. All the top three at the start are now 10th, 12th and 13th. These change of conditions have just absolutely played havoc with this race. And in fact, it's Tim Bruce Dalins and Reese March who have really got the march on everybody here. There's a massive gap as Tim sets the fastest lap, but Reese is actually already starting to peg him back. And we've got a battle happening further down as Jose Mendeville tries to look for a way past Riley Manning as he tries to make his way back through the field. He seems to always have a pace in qualifying, but some things just don't seem to work out in the race. Of course, he had that last lap collision. Owen! No, wait a minute. Riley Manning's into the wall and has had to pit. Riley Manning into the wall on the pit straight, and in fact, Riley Manning is out the race. That's the end of his afternoon. And that's our second retirement already. Things just not working out for some of these drivers already. As Luke Baker's going to have to do some defending here from Sir Hamrick. Oh, he looks down the inside there. That's a brave enough move in the dry, let alone the wet. And look at Reece March is absolutely flying. He's only 1.5 seconds behind Tim now. So Tim is not enjoying these wet conditions. And he's about to come under some serious pressure from the racing point here. And Tyler Thomas is out. Tyler Thomas is out. What's happened to him? Let's see if we can find out. Has he lost it in the wall somewhere? Difficult to say, but Tyler Thomas's race, after such a promising qualifying, his race has come to an end. Drama wherever you look here as Jared Fosbury's right on the back of Craig Woolley now. This for P6. Jared looks to mount a fight back and and Craig Woolley's in the wall and out of the race. He lost it onto the main straight and we are already 4 drivers out and we're only on lap 7. They're all struggling massively in these wet conditions and we've got another safety car. Wow. Drivers just absolutely struggling for grip round here, and of course many of these drivers we said might not have done many laps around here under normal circumstances. It's very unlikely, but many will have done laps here in the wet, and you can see it's already costing a lot of the drivers. They're really struggling here in these conditions, and it's making the race incredibly interesting. Back to, well, what the order is now is quite incredible, really. Tim Bruce-Daly still leads. He's got Reece March right behind him, who was absolutely closing him in incredibly quickly. Nelson Santos is third. He was almost 14 seconds behind this pair, but that's going to all get eradicated now the safety car's out. Luke Baker's in fourth, so Hamrick is in fifth, Jared Fosbury sixth. We've got Billy Mossam in seventh, Jose Mendeville in 8th. Jeremy Pope is up to 9th after he obviously had damage early on, so it just shows how mental this race has been. He's now back in the points with Matt Romano sat in the final points position. Good evening, Shane, hope you're well. You've missed a quite dramatic opening to this race. We've already had 4 retirements. This race started in dry conditions but very quickly went wet. Tim pitted just after the first safety car came in, and we all thought, well, I thought certainly, but it was a bit early. But the rain came down so quickly, caught a lot of the drivers out who went spinning around into the wall, and ultimately it's resulted in Tim winning this race. Now, but the very quick Reece March behind him. Like I said, we're under a second safety car period now, following Craig Woolley going into the wall at the exit of the bank curve. Not usually a corner that's too challenging, but in these conditions I think every corner is becoming a challenge. And like I say, it's already taken many casualties, this difficult, twisty technical track here in the Netherlands. And Ivan Brito, who of course, I mean, the race about 8 laps ago at the start was Jose Mendeville and Ivan Brito battling for the lead. Ivan Brito's last at the moment out of the still running riders in this race, and Jose's only up to 8th. So it shows really. I mean, Tim called it spot on with the intermediate. But the one driver who's really looked quick in these conditions ever since it changed has been Reece. And you get the feeling Tim's going to have a lot of defending to do to keep him behind once the safety car comes in. We've already lost 4 drivers and we're barely a quarter of the way into this race, so I get the feeling we're going to see a lot more carnage before this race is done. And those drivers who perhaps haven't had such good results this season that are still in this race will be looking at this as a massive opportunity. And usually the opportunist is Matt Romano. We saw him take an unlikely win in Monza, just taking advantage of what was going on around him, and he's just there, quietly there in this race as well. Is he going to be doing a similar feat here? Who knows? Again, I suspect we'll see the safety car in this lap message in the next probably 10-20 seconds. and it'll be up to Tim to decide when to go. We saw on the first safety car restart, Ivan Brito, in fact, bolted too early and didn't let the safety car get far enough in front before he bolted, and that ultimately actually cost him against Jose Mendeville. So what will Tim do here? Although, is the safety car coming in this lap? If it is, it's leaving it very, very late. It is indeed. Left it a lot later on this occasion. Ivan Brito is just caught up to the back of a snake. So Tim just warming up his tyres here. Yeah, the commentary for F5 is usually done by myself and Felix. Unfortunately, Felix isn't here tonight, so it's just myself commentating, Jake. And we're back underway here, so it was actually a very good restart in the end by Tim. He kept the car nicely behind him, but further behind we've got Luke Baker potentially looking at a move. And Jared didn't get a great restart either, and he's under massive pressure from Billy Mossam, who didn't get the best of exits out the corner. He's actually got to worry about Jose behind him. Owen, he's actually gone slightly wide there as Jared and Billy Mossam's going alongside him. And is Billy Mossam about to grab P6 here? Yes, he is. Jared really struggling on the restart and has dropped another place down to P7. Not enjoying these conditions of the two Renaults at the moment, it has to be said, although once again Nelson Santos has dropped 3 seconds already to the cars in front of us. Jose dives down the inside, but can't make it stick as Jared does the up and under to get back in front of him. But already the top two absolutely leaving the rest of the field for dead. Nelson Santos just has nothing to reply with compared to these two out front. And Reese looks incredibly quick behind the race leader here. Is he going to be close enough for a move into turn one? Of course, no DRS in these conditions. And his save is overtake mode for now. And oh, we've got a problem here. Sir Hamrick has come into the pits. Did he collect damage, I wonder? He must have collected damage. That's a disaster for him, as we see Jose going for it again against Jared. They're going side by side here, but Jose's made the move stick and he's up into 6th place. Jared drops again and just doesn't seem at home in these intermediate conditions. You have to wonder if maybe the setup just isn't working out for him at the moment. Well, Jose back up to 6th. Hamrick, I don't know what, well, he's gone to another set of intermediates of course, but that damage will really have set him back in this race. He'll be hoping for another safety car, and look again, Jared's now under threat from Ivan Brito behind him. So he's just falling backwards at the moment, is Jared. He has no pace in which to try and defend, or even attack for that matter. But back with the battle at the lead, let's have a look. We've got Tim, who's under massive pressure from Reese here. Reese looks absolutely flying in these conditions. He didn't really show that much in the dry qualifying session, but in the wet conditions he has come alive. You have to wonder if his setup is more considered towards the wet conditions, because right now he looks the fastest driver on the track by some distance, and in fact it's suggested to go into the full wet, so I don't really understand that. But look, Tim is just, he has not got the pace to deal with him, as Billy Mossam goes down around the outside and through turn one, in fact, past Luke Baker. So Billy Mossam now up into 4th place, and that's a great effort. And look who Jose Mendeville's now joined the back of his crew, as well as Luke Baker goes off the track. I don't know if he meant to do that, but he's just basically let the AlphaTauri through, and Luke drops to 6th, Jose up to 5th, and further down the field Jared drops yet another position, now down to P8, and he's going to have to try and hope now that he can follow the Mercedes of Ivan Brito, because right now he just doesn't have the pace he needs, as we've got a yellow flag in sector 2. What's that for, I wonder? Oh, I think it's Nelson Santos. What's happened to Nelson Santos? Oh no, we're 3 abreast here. Nelson Santos trying to hold off Billy Mossam. In fact, it's Reese. Reese has actually had a mistake somewhere, because he's lost a bundle of time to the race leader, so I don't know if they came together or if Reese went wide. But Reese has dropped a lot of positions, and in fact Nelson Santos has gone off the track nearly and has dropped 2 places. Tim has pitted. Are they coming in for full wets, I wonder? It would not surprise me. Tim has pitted. Yeah, Tim's going for full wets. As he once again called this right while everyone else stays out and struggles. We've got Luke Baker here, and in fact Ivan Brito round the outside. Ivan Brito up to 5th place and is now right behind his struggling teammate. So Tim once again has made the early gamble on the tyres, and will it pay off once again? He was in the lead, so in theory he had the most to lose, but clearly he thinks the track is ready for full wets. We shall see. And I wonder here will any team orders come into play between the Portuguese duo here, because Ivan Brito right now looks a lot quicker than Nelson Santos. Doesn't look like it at the moment. He's still keeping hold of that 4th place. Oh no! And he's into the wall! Nelson Santos into the wall, lost it on traction. Oh, he's got to be careful rejoining the track. Thankfully he ghosted. He will have undoubtedly got damage there because he went into the wall. And oh, Nelson Santos was in such a good place in this race, but it's all gone wrong. And he drops way down the field as Jose Mendeville now looks at grabbing 2nd from Billy Mossam, who's been very impressive so far in this race. What's Jose doing here? No one is pitting for the full wet tyres, so this is interesting. Once again, Tim going against the grain on strategy, and is it going to pay off for him again as Jared actually pits as well? So I do wonder, are they in communication down at Renault, and has he been recommended to pit for the wet tyres as well? Let's have a look. Oh, and Nelson Santos is out the race, so we've got a 5th retirement as he, I think, yes, a safety car because he's crashed out on track again. So we have another safety car, and this actually works out quite brilliantly for the Renault pair, because they've all made their stops already as Jared just comes out ahead of Sir Hamrick. He should be able to overtake the safety car here. The safety car's not exactly positioning itself brilliantly, but yeah, he's got through. So interesting. What will the drivers now on intermediates do? Will they all pit? The Renaults clearly think it's ready for full wets. And this negates the time that Reese March lost as well now, with that moment he had. Will he pit for full wets? Let's see. Indeed he does, so Reese pits. Of course, will he go on to full wets? I can't imagine he'd do anything else. To be honest, yeah, they're all coming in. Billy, Jose, Ivan, they're all in the pits now. Oh, of course. Reese speeded in the pit lane, didn't he, when he made his first stop? And oh, Tim's got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. So that's a big blow for Tim. Just to look like he had control of this race. It's all gone wrong, and Reese has actually come out on another set of intermediates. As has Matt. No, Matt stayed out actually. Ivan Brito's come out on intermediates as well. So there's a real difference in tyre strategies here. Some going for full wets, some going for inters, as Matt gets a penalty as well for a collision with Billy. Oh, so Tim has got a penalty. Reese, of course, served his penalty from the last safety car period. So, effectively, Jose's now in the best position because Tim will have to serve a drive-through. So Jose, in effect, now is back to being your race leader. This, of course, assuming that the wet tyres are the right tyres to be on. Some drivers clearly don't think that's the case. We've got a real difference here. And Jared actually hasn't worked out that brilliantly for Jared. He's still in 9th place, so he didn't exactly gain the positions I thought he might. Of course, all the drivers will see around them what tyres their competitors are on. So, will that affect their decision making? Of course, their attitude will probably be now, you might as well just stick with what you've got on, because there's no point pitting now, because you'll just lose even more time. But how are the conditions now, and how will they develop? That's going to be absolutely critical to deciding the outcome of this race. But Tim, who looked like he had it under relative control, has unfortunately made the cardinal sin of speeding under the safety car, and is now in a lot of trouble. And in fact, Tim pits now, in fact. But he can't serve a drive-through penalty under the safety car. But no, he's actually gone for intermediates, so he clearly doesn't think it's the wet tyres are the right tyre anymore. And in fact, the only two drivers still out on wets are Jose and Jared. So yeah, Tim called it right the first time, but hasn't the second time. And how much will that impact his race? He's still going to have his drive-through to serve as well, so Tim is having a real roller coaster ride of a race so far. Let's go. So let's once again review how the race is looking. We are just 16 laps in here into this absolutely manic race. We've got Jose Mendeville out in the lead, but is on wet tyres, which doesn't seem like it's the right tyre anymore. Got Reese March in second place, Ivan Brito in third. Michael Edwards has found himself up in fourth now. Jared Fosbury fifth. Jeremy Pope has gone up to sixth. Got Tim Bruce-Dalins in seventh. Luke Baker eighth. Matt Romano ninth, and Billy Mossam is in the final points pin position at the moment. Those who went for wets, I think, are regretting it now. Will the safety car be in at the end of this lap, I wonder? There is still one car catching the field up, so I suspect we may potentially have another lap here under the safety car conditions, and it looks like we do. Just waiting, of course, for those to catch up. What will Jose Mendeville and Jared Fosbury do? Will they pit? Jose Mendeville carries on. I suspect Jared will pit. Yeah, Jared does pit. So now Jose Mendeville's the only one going against the grain on strategy here. And how much will that affect him? Jared will drop to the back of the field. It's not been the ideal day for Renault so far, but there's still time to turn it around. On the other hand, things looking very positive at the moment, it has to be said, for Racing Point. Their closest contenders. Reese March should take over the lead if Jose has got this wrong on tyres, and Matt Romano is also currently solidly in the points as well. Everyone's now in the snake, so we should expect to see the lights go out on the safety car this lap and the action to resume. Jose might very well be a sitting duck here. I think he'll regret not pitting in the last few laps. Safety car is in this lap, so Jose now can basically control the speed. Hopefully he lets the safety car go far enough ahead. Learns from the mistake that Ivan Brito left. In fact, Billy Mossam has just lost connection, it would seem, so hopefully he can rejoin before too long. Jose Mendeville desperately trying to warm up those wet tyres, but to what avail, we shall see. When's Jose gonna absolutely bolt it? He's definitely given a safety car enough room now. He can go whenever he wants, and he's gone now. But you can see there, I don't think he can get the traction down. Or maybe he can actually, and in fact, there's gonna be other cars under pressure instead. Oh, and look, for down the inside, that's Ivan Brito defending from Michael Edwards. Has he done enough, I wonder, as Matt Romano drops down the field, and there's contact there between Ivan Brito and Michael Edwards, and Michael Edwards down the inside. That's not the racetrack, Ivan Brito, and in fact he could lose another position to Tim Bruce-Dalins as well. But Michael Edwards up into third place. Ivan Brito in 4th, and let's focus our attention on the lead. Can Reece March quickly close down Jose Mendeville? Not, to be fair, at least signs are the wet tyres are not working too badly at all on that AlphaTauri. Oh, Billy Mossum's not going to be happy when he rejoins, because I believe his AI has just pitted him in for old Inters. I don't really understand that at all. That's absolutely bizarre, but that has ultimately ruined what was looking like a very good race for Billy. He's just sitting there. I wonder if he's just biding his time at this stage. Jose's still not pitting. He clearly doesn't think the wet tyres are that bad at the moment, and he's not doing too bad of a pace as Tim Brisdalins comes in to serve his drive-through. That will drop him right back to 10th place. And still Reece Oliver back at the race leader. Jose's starting to struggle, and look, on pure traction alone, Reece. And in fact, oh, Billy Mossum is out the race. There's a yellow flag in sector 3. Will that be a 4th safety car to race, I wonder? I think it might. I think we'll get away with it, but here comes Reece March for the lead of the race. Oh, there's contact between him and Jose, and he had to quickly gather it up before he lost control. There's a yellow flag now in sector 1 as well. What's happened there? See if I can find out. It looks like I don't even know who is it. Oh, that's Billy. That's Billy, of course. My bad. That's Billy, who's just retired on track. So that's not no panic there. But Jose's gaining a bit of a train behind him now. He clearly isn't the quickest car now on those tyres, and it should only be a matter of time before Reece completes the move. Oh, he's got a great run onto the pit straight. Surely here he can get the move done. Is he in overtake mode? Yes, he is. But still not quite close enough. Unless it starts raining more and more, which, to be honest with you, if anything, I think it's raining less. I don't think this is going to work out for Jose. In fact, Reece slightly taps his rear. He doesn't need to be so impatient. I know the over-eagerness is just to get in front straight away and try and pull a gap, but he needs to be careful. He doesn't want to lose the car. He should be able to get him on traction and here alone. Surely this time there's nothing Jose can do, and in fact, yep, down the inside nicely. Reece is into the lead, and what's happened to Sir Hamrick? Sir Hamrick's had a problem somewhere. He's got damage, I think. Yep, he's missing a lot of the right hand side of his front wing. So that's an absolute disaster for him, and he now drops, well, to the, I say the back of the field. It's still 10th, so as long as he finishes, I believe he's still guaranteed points here. As we now go back with Jose's, Reece begins to extend his lead, and Jose now falls into the clutches of Michael Edwards behind. Jose, how long is he going to keep going on those wet tyres? Surely he's going to have to give it a ghost on them soon. Yeah, he does now. In fact, it's a good job Michael Edwards realised as Jose gets a very foolish penalty there. I don't think he even slowed down at all going into the pit lane. A little bit of frustration there creeping in, perhaps, that it hasn't worked out for him strategy-wise, but still, that's a bit of a poor penalty. Ivan Brito right behind Michael Edwards now for P2. Ivan Brito's looked to me to have very excellent pace no matter what the conditions have been, but of course had that problem when it started to change to full wet, also started to change from dries to winters, where he spun into the wall, and that has set him back a little bit, but he's coming right back into play here. I think if the only one here who might be able to stop Reece is Ivan Brito. Of course, they'll be trying to get these intermediates to the end, you'd imagine, from here. And Sir Hamrick has just pitted for another set of intermediates and actually crossed the pit exit white line to get another penalty, unfortunately. He's a long way at the back now, but he's still guaranteed a point, at least, so not all is lost. Reece March quickly extending his lead. He's looking like he's got excellent pace here. And fair play to him if he can pull this up. Jeremy Pope now up to 4th. But he will start to come under pressure, you feel. And in fact, Tim Brisdaling's down the inside of Luke Baker into turn 1. And Tim Brisdaling is back up into 6th place. And his next target will be his teammate. Just a couple of seconds up the road. And in fact, you can imagine, I would say Jared potentially might be getting held up by Jerry Pope, but in all honesty, Jared just doesn't look like he's got much pace in these conditions. And I reckon, well, will he even make it difficult for Tim? I'm not sure he will. Follow. Well, Luke Baker will try and stick to the back of this Renault pair here. Luke might fancy his chances at passing Jared should Tim get past, so it's important he tries to stay as close as possible. And another driver to watch will be Jose Mendeville, of course, who's now onto the intermediates himself and is only a second and a half or so behind this group of cars, so he'll be approaching at some speed as well. So if you're Renault here, surely the best thing to do will be possibly to get Jared just out of the way should Tim get close, as Jose does the fastest lap of the race by a decent margin, first man into the 1:20s, so just showing how quick he is. Reese's gap has kind of been pegged a bit now, it's now 2 seconds, so Reese's early pace on the intermediates has not quite worked out as he would have hoped, as Jose Mendeville has passed Luke Baker and up into 7th place. Yeah, Tim is right on the back of his teammate here. We've spoken about a sensible partnership that they have at Renault before. Will we see it in action here? Because I have to say, Jared hasn't looked overly comfortable since it's gone to wet conditions, whereas Tim has looked a lot quicker. There's already a massive gap that's developed behind Ivan Brito back to Jeremy Pope, so the Renault's progress once they've got past the Haas may be kind of curtailed there really, unless there's more drama up ahead. Tim get close enough, of course, no DRS to help them down the few overtaking spots there are here, so you have to try and find a bit of an unorthodox move, I suspect, if you want to make the move stick on the car in front. And let's follow Jared. Look at this, Michael Edwards is definitely coming back at Reece March here, and I tell you what, this race at the front definitely isn't over either. In terms of ERS deployment, we're looking, well, to be fair, Jeremy Pope's actually got quite a bit left, so he'll have a lot to defend with. Jared getting ever closer. His best bet really is to try and get as close as he can through the bank curve onto a straight and then make a move into turn 1. But that's easier said than done, and the problem that I feared Renault would have if they couldn't clear Jeremy Pope quickly has emerged, because Jose Mendeville is now right on the back of the pair here, and he's undoubtedly at the moment the quickest driver on the circuit. And here we go, is this going to be the swap we're talking about? Tim Brisdaling's, oh no, Jared, oh, and actually Tim hits the back of his teammate. Some more problems at Renault there. That must have surely given him, just even if it's only slight damage, must have given him just that little bit of damage. And I thought Renault would have worked a lot better than that. In fact, it's all gone wrong because Jose Mendeville has now got past Tim. A little bit of contact between the pair, but Jose is in to 6th place. And he's going to be straight onto the back of the other Renault as well now. He's absolutely flying at the moment. gaps between second and third have also gapped out now as Michael Edwards gets the foot down a bit, pulls away slightly from Ivan Brito. Just look at the extra confidence Jose Mendeville has. Of course, he's got 4 lap fresher inters, so although he stayed out on wets at the start, having the fresher inters at the end could prove to pay dividends. Oh, and he's trying to clear Jared as quickly as possible. He doesn't want to do what Tim did on the last lap and make contact with him. He doesn't actually get the best of runs onto the straight, but is he going to be able... Well, he hasn't got much ERS to use either. So he has to stay behind for the time being. Maybe he's used a lot of his ERS just to get up to this pack and not left enough for actually trying to get through it. Jared's a tough man to get past, so this will not be easy pickings for Jose. Those that, of course, pitted for the Inters the earliest are going to have to do roughly 20 laps on them, so if they're wanting to get to the end, so that's going to be a tough tall order in itself. Of course, if you do want to make another stop round here, the pit lane loss is only around 14.5 seconds, so it's not disastrous. I mean, if one of the top 3 wanted to pit again, there is a nice margin emerging between 3rd and 4th place for them to slot into. And I think Tim has definitely picked up damage. Look at the way he's dropped back as they get bunched up furthermore behind Jeremy Pope. I think there's absolute evidence to suggest the track's getting drier as well, so I wonder... Yeah, DRS has been enabled. I thought we were going to be on dry shortly, so actually... Oh, and look, they're actually going to be able to get the jump now, so they all come into the pits. Did Tim pit as well? Yes, he did, and he's going to have to stack, so Tim's race just continues to go from bad to worse. Oh, and Jeremy Pope's gone to full wets. What on earth's that all about? Oh, that's ruined Jeremy Pope's race. They've put him on the wrong tyres. He's gone on to full wets, and that has absolutely destroyed any chances he had of a sizable point score here today. He won't be able to believe that. He was looking at a massive haul of points, but the pit crew have made an absolute dog's dinner of it, and oh dear, and he's just going to be a sitting duck for those cars now behind him. And in fact, oh, we got yellow flag in sector 1. I don't know what's happened there. It could very well be Jeremy Pope, to be fair. But look here, Ivan Brito is right onto the back. And what? Actually, Matt Romano. What's happened to Matt Romano? Oh, we've got a... Oh, that's Jeremy Pope off the track. Oh, and the top 3 are all in the pits now, and Jose will probably follow them in, as will Matt. But Jeremy Pope will have to pit again, and he will be livid. I'm absolutely certain of it. That's just gone really badly wrong for him today. They all come in for softs, their nose at pit. And Matt Romano just staying out of people's way at the moment, not really wanting to get involved. So Jared now up into 4th place following that. Jose didn't pit, which surprised me because he was in that pack, but he opted to stay out for another lap, and ultimately I don't think that's actually helped him. He's rejoined in 5th place between the 2 Renaults. Tim now should have his damage hopefully repaired, so he will be able to get on the power again, but down in 6th place it's going to be tough for him from there to do anything. As expected, Jeremy Pope back in the pits for soft tyres. He'll be gutted, and he's going to be in 9th place behind Matt Romano, and that'll be his task, I reckon, over the next 8 laps to try and bridge that gap to Matt Romano if he can, and try and grab 8th place. That's probably the limit now of what he can hope to achieve. Let's go with Ivan Brito, who's only half a second behind Michael Edwards for 2nd place. Of course, we saw in dry conditions, Reese didn't really have as much pace. So could he come under attack here? Ivan Brito looked very quick in dry conditions. So potentially here, Ivan Brito could be the favourite to win this race, but he needs to clear that McLaren quickly if he's going to have a chance of doing so. course, faster slack coming in there from Jared, but expect that to keep dropping as the track conditions improve. Yeah, Reese wasn't the quickest in qualifying on dry, whereas Ivan Brito was up there. So, based on the dry times we saw in quali, Ivan Brito was definitely the quickest out of these three, you would say. And you could argue that Reese might be the slowest. Of course, as quick as the three behind them are, Jared, Jose and Tim, they're just too far behind now. You can't see them getting onto the podium unless something happens between the top three. Ivan Brito's one problem is he doesn't have much ERS to use, but neither does Michael Edwards either. They're both in overtake for very different reasons. But he's out of ERS deployment. Is Ivan Brito, and that can affect him. Is he going to go for a move into turn one? No, he's not close enough. And that lack of ERS did hurt him there. That there is no question. But look at that, they're both gaining quite sizably on Reese March. The gap now only a second. Or just over a second rather. So Reese is struggling as we suspected. He must have gone for a wet setup here, because in the dry he just doesn't look like he's got the pace. And all of a sudden this race has come alive. Who could win here? It's absolutely up in the air between the top three. Let's just quickly go further behind, because I think Jose Mendeville is looking like he wants to get past Jared. Of course, Jose the pole sitter in dry conditions, so he should in theory be the quickest out of everybody, you would imagine. And has he got what it takes to get fourth place? This has not been the day that Renault would have hoped for, and it's looking very likely that we are going to get our fourth different winner in 4 races, because none of the top 3 have stood on the top step of the podium yet. And look here down the straight, so Michael Edwards has got DRS on Reese March, and that all of a sudden makes this a 3-way fight for the race lead, and it is all to play for. We're going to quickly go to see if Jose can get close enough to make a move. He's done the fast lap of the race, so he's definitely quick, but he's not quick enough to make a move, is he? Not quite. Right behind the Renault, but couldn't quite get his nose where it needed to be. Oh, Ivan Brito's picked up a penalty, and I tell you what, that could be absolutely pivotal when they come across the line on the final lap, between him potentially winning the race, getting second or getting third. And that leans even more towards the direction that it's between these two for the race win today. Michael Edwards had quite a quiet race really, but he's just kept plugging away, kept improving his position. Quite undramatically, it has to be said, but right now he's in an absolutely golden position here to win the race. And well, what we're not getting the predictable maybe race that we thought we would. The weather's absolutely thrown up all sorts of unpredictability, and again not quite close enough. Reese will be using his DRS where he can, but he doesn't have much of it left. In fact, like I said, none of the top 3 really have much DRS to play with. As Jose goes down the outside of Jared at turn 1, is he going to make it stick all the way around the outside? Yes, he does. That's a sensational overtake from Jose Mendeville up into 4th place, and nothing Jared could do about that. He defended on the inside, as you would expect, but Jose made it stick all the way around the outside. That's a sensational overtake. And up to P4, and now I suspect he will just drive away from Jared, because I don't think Jared quite has the pace to keep up. We'll wait to see if he proves me wrong on that. The top 3 still very close together, as he once again get ready to go on to the start-finish straight. Michael Edwards just doesn't look like he's close enough yet to make an overtake stick. He's in overtake mode, but he's gonna run out of ERS. That's his problem, and that means he just cannot get close enough into the braking zone at turn 1. I almost think here for Michael Edwards, his best bet might be to save his ERS for a few laps and then really go for it, because well, if he runs out of ERS halfway down the straight, that just isn't doing any good for him. Again, he's in overtake mode, but I don't really see the point. And in fact, he's actually now coming under pressure from Ivan Brito. There's no way for him to go through there. But yeah, save your ERS, that's what I would suggest to him, because he isn't going to make the move stick until he has enough ERS to keep overtake mode on for a good amount of time down that pit straight. And he's got to worry about behind him as well. Reese March is doing all the right things at the moment. He'll know that he's only got 3 more laps to navigate until he can celebrate victory, but there's a long way to go in those 3 laps. And yeah, he does not using overtake this time around. That is a sensible thing to do. He still gets pretty close, and of course he still has a DRS, so it's not like he's going to come under threat from behind as long as he keeps it in all the right places of the track. So for me, that's the best option for him right now. But again, he goes into overtake through there, and I don't really understand it, if I'm honest. Because I just don't see how he's going to make a move stick through that section of the track. That to me is just a bit of a waste, if you ask me. And that's something that, if we do get to speak to him after race, that's something I will be very keen to ask him about. We go again into the last sector of the racetrack. Very little to split them. Jose has pulled away from Jared, as you would probably have expected. Jared actually might have to just keep an eye behind him as well, because Tim Brisdalins will be charging to try and get that 5th place. Of course, his championship leader will be closing some points on him, but here he goes. Here goes Michael Edwards. He's got no DRS left, and that's going to allow Reese Marsh to fight back, but surely Michael Edwards can make the move stick around the outside. Yes, he does. That's a fantastic overtake, repeating what we just saw from Jose a few laps ago. And Michael Edwards has made his move and is into the lead of the F5 Dutch Grand Prix here on lap 35, a penultimate lap of the race. And is Michael Edwards staring at his first victory of the season? You know Reese will not give this up. And what, again, none of them have got any ERS between them, so that's the problem. Of course, if one of them had saved up a bit more, they'd have a really good chance here, as Ivan Brito runs slightly wide there and has lost a few temps as a result. Michael Edwards tries to pull away. He knows if he doesn't, I mean, look at the ERS, he's got a bit more to play with as Reese. So he's going to try and fight back, and in fact he might need to use the overtake just to defend against Ivan Brito behind him, but he's going to run out of ERS deployment here. And is that going to leave him vulnerable to the Mercedes behind? Ivan Brito on the last lap doesn't go for it. But look here. Oh, and he's got a poor exit though, Reese. He's under more pressure now. Ivan Brito looking for a way around the Racing Point. It's so tricky in this area of the track. If he's going to grab 2nd place, he's going to need to find a really odd place of the track to try it. And he's going for it here. They go side by side. He's going to have the inside line. Oh, and Ivan Brito's gone round. No, it's a disaster for him. He went for a very, very aggressive move. He had the inside line, but he made slight wheel-to-wheel contact, and that sent Ivan Brito round. And that will ultimately ensure that 3rd is the best he can get, and he may potentially even lose that. So it's gone absolute disaster for Ivan on the final lap there. That's not what he would have wanted. But here we go then with the 2 up front. It looks like Michael Edwards is going to round the last few corners. It's been an absolutely superb drive. Got under the radar for much of the race, but he's exactly where he wants to be at the end. He takes the checkered flag and wins here at Zandvoort. Round 4 of the F5 season. He takes the victory. And it's going to be very close to the line, in fact. Ivan Brito might lose the final spot on the podium to Jose Mendeville. Does he? Yes, he does on penalties. In fact, Jared takes P4. Ivan Brito drops to P5. Tim Brisdalins, the championship leader, only gets 6th. He will remain in the championship lead, though. Luke Baker will take 7th. We've got Matt Romano quite a way behind, but looking good to get some more points in 8th, with Jeremy Pope disappointing in 9th after having the issue with the going on to wet tyres when the track was drying out. So only 9th place for him when it could have been so much more. And Sir Hamrick will take the final points playing position. But on board, let's go on board then with our race leader, Michael Edwards. A fantastic job there. He's going to be my driver of the day. I know it's quite a boring one to go for, but he really didn't put a foot wrong there where it mattered the most. And absolutely superb job from Michael Edwards there, and he fully deserves a win. Yeah, driver of the day, even the game's giving it to him, and I can't argue with that. He did a superb job, and they overtake for the lead on the penultimate lap was a sensational move. Well done to Reece March. In terms of what happened to Craig Woolley, he actually lost it out of the bank curve on the intermediate tyres, I believe it was, and crashed out there. So, unfortunately, that was where Craig Woolley's race ended. Well done to all the podium finishers there. Reece March did a good job, just didn't have the dry pace that he had in the wet, and that ultimately meant he couldn't stay out in the lead. Ivan Brito lost the 3rd spot. And yeah, just didn't work out for him too well, and of course Jose Mendeville got the 3rd spot after Ivan Brito's penalties. So Jose did salvage a podium in the end. A disappointing day for the Renaults. What we'll do now is we'll try and speak to the podium sitters, and if we can't get anyone in the 3rd spot, we will just, what I'll probably do is I'll probably invite the 4th place man, who is Jared. So just bear with me a few minutes and we'll try and get some interviews for you. So hopefully we'll get to speak to the podium sitters very shortly at the end of a dramatic 36 laps that we had here in the Netherlands. Round 4 serving up a treat, our 4th different winner in 4 races, and sets us up very nicely going to Austria next week as well. Hopefully we can grab a word with Michael Edwards and Reece March and Jose Mendeville very shortly. We've also invited a 4th place man, Jared Fosbury as well. So hopefully we get to speak to somebody at some point. Thank you for joining, Jared. Hopefully I'll come to you in a minute if nobody else joins.
That's fine.
So yeah, it was a good race. A bit of a blow for the Renaults today, but it was one of those races, a bit like in real life today, where pretty much anything could happen, and everything did happen. I am doing interviews, indeed, Michael. I've actually sent you an invite, so if you want to jump in, that would be absolutely fantastic. I'll give it another minute. You haven't had an invite. Right, hopefully I can rectify that. Are you able to suggest him to me, just so to make sure? Thank you. There we go. Should have an invite now, Michael. While we're waiting for Michael, I'll quickly go through some... Actually, nope. Perfect timing. So you just want to make sure your voice settings are set to always share.
Yeah, it's always on, always share.
No worries. So we'll come to you then. Congratulations on the win. How was the race from your perspective?
Terrifying. Every single lap, terrifying. I mean, I spent more time in the pits more than anything, changed my front wing. I didn't expect to be anywhere near the front at the end.
What was it that you thought? What was it you thought in the end that ultimately helped you get near the front?
I think it was the strategy under the final safety car. Some people pitting for wets when it was going to be getting drier. That took a few people out of the equation and just left us in a bit of the top three in a bit of a lonely world up front.
Were you a little bit surprised? Because Reese looked very quick in the wet conditions, but seemed to struggle a lot more in the dry, which allowed you to have a run at him. Was that a bit of a surprise to you?
I mean, the conditions were... You just mastered them better, I think, in the wet, so he definitely had the pace to keep that gap in the wet. I think he might have had more of a wet setup, so he was able to keep that gap, hold it steady. But as soon as they got to the dry, that's when my dry setup came into play.
And what was your take on the slight incident with you and Ivan Brito at the end?
I don't know what happened, but I think Ivan might have tried it around the outside. He did have a look at me on the outside before, but wasn't alongside enough. I mean, it's just not a great overtaking spot, to be honest, so credit for him for trying it, but it's just one of those corners, I think, where it's just tricky to overtake.
Yeah, this track doesn't lend itself to a lot of overtaking spots. The move that you did for the lead around the outside of turn one, I have to say, was a fantastic move. Was that something that you calculated beforehand, or was it at the last moment you saw Reese defend to the inside and that was the move you went for?
Well, I was just trying to save enough ERS to really give it a crack down the main straight. So I was kind of holding back a little bit, and I was under pressure from Ivan behind. But as soon as I got close enough, I just chucked it up into Rich and overtaken, just able to get alongside. He covered the inside, so the outside was there.
So this does wonders for your current championship position. Looking ahead to the next race at Austria, what are your hopes for how you think you're going to cope around the Red Bull Ring?
I think it'll depend on the conditions, because in the wet I'm not really great around there. Dry, I can be consistent.
Okay, and congratulations on the win, and you were also my driver of the day, so well done for that as well.
Thank you.
So, because we don't have, unfortunately, second or third place in the party at the moment, we'll speak to Jared, who finished P4 in the end. How was the race from your view? Looks like you were struggling a little bit for pace today.
Yeah, you could say that, to be honest. It could be a bit worse. It wasn't, I didn't get a good start, and then Tim made a stupid move around the outside, giving me wing damage. So he's getting a little bit reported for that, because it cost me a lot of time, and it ruined my race strategy, because then the inters kicked in, and I picked for mediums, because I thought the inters were going to be a lot longer, as it said on the race strategy, but it didn't work like that. So I pit, went inters, and I just had no pace. The setup was the right setup. There was no grip at all. I was just annoyed. I was getting past quite easily, to be honest. And I was surprised I got why I'm fourth. Jose did a very good job, but then he made a strategy mistake. And then later on in the race, Tim tried to make the similar move on the inside. There was space on the outside, and he just hits Maria and hits my front wing.
It's strange because obviously we spoke to you both a few weeks ago, and it seemed like the team harmony was very good at Renault, but today suggested that perhaps things aren't going the way you would like.
It didn't go as planned, to be honest. Today I could have taken the lead in the Drivers' Championship. That was my main. I wasn't really concerned about the team today, because there weren't that many rounds. It's round 4 and there's a lot more to go, but I need to start pushing and get this title, and I think it may be my last title I can get, so it's something I want to finish with a high, and then I don't know, Tim just needs to be more careful, because it cost us both in the end. But other than that, great result from the top two, Riceman and Mike did a good job, and Jose got third, and yeah, that guy's just ridiculously quick, and I got fourth, so I'm happy with that.
And looking ahead to Austria, what are your hopes for that one?
A win. I need to win. I know it might sound arrogant and cocky, but I need that win. Because I need to get that advantage. I could have been already ahead of Tim in the title fight, because I should have won Italy, but my 5 seconds didn't get removed, so it is what it is. But I think I've got to settle with a win, or at least a podium at Austria.
Okay, and well done on the P4. You have actually, despite everything, you have gained on the championship leader, so that is something at least. Reese has joined us now. Just make sure your party settings are set to always share into your voice.
I'm pretty sure they are.
So P2 for you. You looked like you had excellent wet weather pace. Did you go towards more of a wet setup?
I did, yes. It was a bit more of a wet setup. It was kind of a bit of a risk, because obviously qualifying was completely dry, and it said the race was most likely just mostly dry. But I thought, screw it, go for a wet setup, and it seemed alright, even when it was just raining a little bit. And I knew that I had to try and gap Mike and Ivan before it got dry again, because I knew I wasn't going to win if it turned dry too early. And sadly, I didn't have a big enough gap, and they caught me down super quickly, and they just caught me and overtook me basically. Shame for Ivan, which I like to say a massive sorry to. That wasn't ideal. I don't know what will happen against that. I don't know if I'll be pushed off the podium or down in a position. I'm not sure yet.
And I mean, obviously, before the final safety car came out, you and Tim were quite a considerable way in front. Did that last safety car in the end kind of screw you over in that sense?
I kind of had a mini rage sort of thing when it came out, because we had quite a bit of a gap, but it just meant I had to try a bit harder, and yeah, it turned out to be quite interesting at the end. But I'd prefer it to be like that than just me win it by 20 odd seconds. So I don't think I'd even win it, even if I had that gap, because I was so bad in the dry. But yeah, it was great fun basically.
And ultimately, in the end, obviously, Michael got past you at the end. Did you kind of expect that once it went back to dry conditions?
I did. When I saw it was only a 2-second gap, I knew that they were going to catch me down super quickly, which they did. And yeah, I knew it was only a matter of time before he got me, because I was running out of fuel, running out of VRS, and yeah, it was a bit of a struggle at the end. But it was intense the last few laps.
You may have overheard the troubles that have started to develop at Renault. Obviously, yourselves at Racing Point are their closest challengers at the moment, with yourself and Matt. How do you rate your chances in that?
Yeah, I mean, me and Matt, we try and communicate nicely and try and like work together. If I'm quicker, he'll let me pass. If he's quicker, I'll let him pass. And we try and like help each other and get up the championship standings and work on constructors, because I know I'm not championship worthy. I know that for a fact. I'm just here to try and like really get nice points, sometimes sneak on the podium when chaos happens, or rain. I love the rain on this game. But yeah, that's basically what I'm concentrating on.
And again, looking ahead to Austria, what are your hopes for then? I'm guessing rain.
Yeah, rain. Well, if it's dry, probably top 10, hopefully. I struggled a bit in dry and qualifying today, I found. But if it's rain, maybe top 5, hopefully. But yeah, we'll just have to see, because this is a new track, and I know people struggled a bit with the new track, so we'll just have to see.
Alright, congratulations on P2, and look forward to seeing you all next week. So thank you to those that joined me for the podium interviews. Hopefully next week it'll be myself and Felix commentating at Austria, and we will catch you all next week, same time, for round number 5. Until then, it's goodbye from me.